Welcome to this explainer on the structural backbone of Florida construction law. Look, if you're operating down here in the Sunshine State, mastering these state statutes is not just about passing a licensing exam or checking some regulatory box. These rules, they are the absolute survival mechanics for your business and your livelihood. So today, we're going to unpack the 3 critical pillars you absolutely must understand to protect your license and your bottom line.
Okay, let's dive right in. The single most foundational concept you need to wrap your head around is that Florida construction is entirely statute-driven. So what does that actually mean for you? Well, it means that statutory timelines, strict compliance rules, and state regulations will often completely override whatever your individual, private contract says. You might have a handshake agreement or even a highly customized contract with an owner, but if it conflicts with Florida law, the statute wins. Every single time. So here's our game plan today. We are covering 3 main pillars. Number 1, Chapter 455 on DBPR administration. Number 2, Chapter 489 covering licensing. And number 3, Chapter 713, the construction lien law.
Let's kick things off with Pillar 1, Chapter 455, DBPR administration rules.
10. That is the exact number of days you have to update your mailing and email address with the DPBR whenever there is a change. Not a month, not whenever your license happens to renew. You get exactly 10 days. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, come on, this is just a minor clerical issue. But ask yourself this, what actually happens if you miss this 10-day deadline? It's an incredibly high-stakes question. Well, the harsh regulatory reality is that missing a simple address update is a fast track to default discipline. Under the law, any DBPR notices sent to your last known on-file address are legally considered effective service. Literally, if they mail a disciplinary notice to an old office you moved out of 3 years ago, legally speaking, you have been served. If you don't respond because you never saw it, you default, and you can face severe penalties, up to and including license suspension, without ever stepping foot inside a hearing room.
Moving right along to Pillar 2, Chapter 489, Contractor Licensing Laws.
First off here, we really need to nail down the fundamental difference in geographic scope between the 2 main types of licenses. A certified license gives you limitless geographic reach. Because it's issued by the state, you have the capability to work literally anywhere within Florida. A registered license, on the other hand, is strictly local. It restricts you entirely to the specific county or local jurisdiction that issued it. Bidding a job just 1 county over with only a registered license, yeah, that is a really fast way to get cited for unlicensed activity. Now, let's talk about the landmines. There are several common disciplinary triggers that can absolutely destroy your business. Abandonment, misapplication of funds, aiding unlicensed activity, and license renting. But I really want to emphasize the massive risk with misapplication of funds. If you take project funds from a client, use them for a different job or for personal expenses, and then fail to pay that specific project's lieners, like your subs and suppliers, you are facing incredibly severe disciplinary action and potentially even criminal liability. It's a huge deal. Another major trigger is abandonment, but the state defines this very, very strictly. Abandonment isn't just leaving a site for a week because of bad weather or a material delay. Legally, it's a prolonged stoppage of work without just cause for 90 consecutive days. You really need to lock in that specific 90 consecutive day threshold, because if a dispute arises, accurately tracking those days is going to be your absolute primary defense. Now, if you're the licensed individual responsible for a company's contracting and financial oversight, you are the qualifier. And if that's you, this number, 10%, is vital if you ever want to expand. Here is exactly how that plays out. If a qualifying agent wants to qualify and oversee a secondary business organization, meaning they want to add a completely additional entity on top of their primary one, they are required by law to have some skin in the game. They must possess at least a 10% ownership stake in that additional entity. You can't just blindly rent your license out to a bunch of shell companies. The state demands real financial responsibility and actual tangible oversight. All right, let's bring it home with Pillar 3, Chapter 713, the construction lien law. To really help you visualize these incredibly unforgiving statutory timelines, let's use a great memory hook from our source material. Imagine you're running a marathon, a 365-day race. At the 45-meter mark, you notice the competition. At 90 meters, you make your claim for first place. And at 365 days, you cross the finish line to enforce that victory. That marathon translates directly into the infamous 45-90-365 rule. But keep in mind, the starting gun for this entire process is typically the filing of a notice of commencement on the job site. Once that's in place, here's your timeline. First, the notice to owner at 45 days. Next, the formal claim of lien at 90 days. And finally, the suit to foreclose at 1 year. Missing any one of these steps by even a single day generally means a complete and total loss of your lien rights. So, the absolutely crucial point here is understanding exactly when these clocks actually start ticking. For your notice to owner, or NTO, it has to be received within 45 days of the very first day you furnish labor or materials to the site. Let me repeat that because it's that important. From the first furnishing. It's not from the day you sign the contract, and it is definitely not from the day you finish. It's day one of actual work or material delivery. Then we hit the second major milestone, the claim of lien. This formal document has to be recorded in the county records within 90 days of your final day of work. And here is the trap that catches countless contractors. Punch list work or warranty work absolutely does not extend this deadline. No way. If you achieve substantial completion, pack up, leave the site, and then come back 2 months later to touch up some paint on a warranty call, your 90-day clock still started back when you finished the primary work. And finally, the finish line. Just recording the lien doesn't magically freeze it in time forever. You have exactly 1 year from the date you record that claim of lien to actually file a lawsuit, which is known as a suit to foreclose. If 365 days pass and you haven't filed suit, your lien automatically becomes void. It expires. It is entirely dead in the water, and you completely lose that leverage to force payment. So we've covered a lot of ground today. The DBPR administration rules, the strict boundaries of your license, and that totally unforgiving 45, 90, 365 timeline of the lien law. I want to leave you with this question. Are you and your back office team truly prepared to track these deadlines? Because in the Florida construction industry, what you don't know absolutely will cost you. Make sure your systems are incredibly tight, your addresses are updated, and your clocks are always running.